Alright, so in math we have this thing called the greatest common factor. This is a pretty big idea that's used in a lot of math classes, so we want to make sure that this makes sense to us. I'm going to show you two ways to find the greatest common factor, and as you get more familiar with common factors, eventually this is something you'll try to do in your head, but just because we're starting out with factors, I'm going to show you two ways to actually find them by hand. So, greatest common factor, your first option is to go ahead and just list all of your factors for both numbers. So when we list factors, again, start with 1. So I'm going to look at this 18. 1 and 18 are factors. Then I move on to 2. 2 goes in 9 times. 3 goes in 6 times. 4 does not go in. 5 does not go in. 6 does, but I already have written down. So those are my factors for 18. Factors for 24, starting with 1. 1 and 24. 2 times 12. 3 times 8. 4 times 6, 5 is not a factor, and 6 we already have up there. So if you notice, these two numbers, 18 and 24, have some common factors. 1 is a common factor for both. You can see 1 is in both lists. 2 is a common factor for both. 3 as well. So what I'm looking for are numbers that show up in both lists, because these are all of our common factors. And I think that's all of them. So the greatest common factor, the GCF, we can abbreviate that, is going to be the biggest number, or the biggest common factor for both 18 and 24. And we can see of all those numbers we circled, 6 is the biggest. So our GCF is 6. Alright, let me show you that one more time, and then I'll show you the second method. So factors of 15 and 18, starting with 1 and 15. 2 is not a factor, 3 fit in, 5 times. 4 is not, 5 is, which is already on our list, so we're set. 18, and here's where I already listed the factors for 18 over on the left, so I'm just going to copy those over here, because I already did the work. So if you notice that on quizzes or tests, if you already listed the factors for something, and you want those same factors, just go ahead and write them down again. Alright, so what are the common factors between these two? Well, they both have a 1, they both have a 3, and it looked like that covers all of the common factors. So our greatest common factor is going to be the biggest number of the group. So 3 is our GCF. So for those of you that really like to list factors, this is going to seem like a pretty easy way to get your GCF. The other way to get a GCF is by doing prime factorization. So for those of you that love that factor tree and the prime factorization, you might prefer this way. So how this works is you break each number down into its prime factors using a factor tree. So 24 is equal to 2 times 12. 2 is prime. 12 breaks down into 2 times 6. And again, if you are not sure what a factor tree is or this prime factorization, go back and watch a video on prime factorization that I have posted. 6 is equal to 2 times 3. So 24, I'm going to write this out, 2 times 2 times 2 times 3. Alright, I'm going to draw a line just so I'm separating these two. 28 breaks down into 2 times 14. 2 is prime. This is 2 times 7, and that 2 and that 7 are prime. So the prime factorization of 28 is 2 times 2 times 7. So what we're looking for is, do 24 and 28 have any common factors, any common prime factors? So I'm going to circle. This 2 is common with that 2. This 2 is common with that 2. I have another 2 on the left, but I don't have any more 2's on the right, so I can't circle that last 2. And I have a 3 on the left, a 7 on the right, so I don't have a 3 or a 7 in common. Alright, so the greatest common factor, what we're going to do is those 2's that showed up in both sides of our prime factorization, we're going to actually multiply the 2 times 2 together, and we're going to get 4. So our GCF is equal to 4. So you do your prime factorization and you multiply the common factors together. Alright, let's try one more of those. 12 breaks down into 2 times 6. 2 is prime. 6 breaks down into 2 times 3. Those are prime. So I have a 2 times 2 times 3. I'm going to draw my line just so I can separate because this can get a little messy. Now 24, well, I already did the prime factorization for 24 on the left over here. So I already know that prime factorization for 24 is 2 times 2 times 2 times 3. So feel free to use helpful previous information if you already did the work on it. So what do they have in common? They both have a 2. Oh, they both have another 2. So they have two 2's in common, and it looks like they both have a 3 as well. So our GCF, here's what they had in common, a 2, and a 3. So we go ahead and multiply those together. 2 times 2 is 4, 4 times 3 is 12. So the GCF between 12 and 24 is 12. Now, I don't care which method you use. You can choose to list your factors or you can choose to do the prime factorization. Whichever one seems kind of easier to you, it's completely fine with me.